Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to talk about the issue of devices, and this is where again I talk about the foundation itself in terms of a interaction-based method that's going to fade you into the relationship the right way. That's going to make sense to the dog. The core ingredients I talk about: influence and control. Okay, being reconciled, coming in. And as the perception of dogs change, behavioral issues starting to go away, starting to diminish. Now, when you get this whole thing about devices, this is where, again, when I get into this type of conversation, I talk about, devices that align properly, okay, that connect. And again, I talk about the point of connection by way of a collar. Not using, again, body harnesses, okay. I really encourage dog owners to steer clear, okay, of body harnesses, because what they do is, again, is the dog is able to push forward, okay. And the issue about connection and communication in terms of being specific, okay, understand that when influence is intercepting, okay, a dog's state of mind, it needs to come through, it needs directionally, it needs to connect and come through the collar, okay. That is the point of connection. So when you get into this thing about body harnesses, okay, it doesn't allow for that, okay, and it creates a whole scenario with dogs that are continue to hold control in the relationship, hold on to stress, all of it. So my thing with that is don't use body harnesses. Now, when it comes to retractable leashes, okay, again, the retractable leash, those longer type of push button leashes that go out 30 feet, 50 feet. You see some of these balanced dog trainers. I was kind of making fun of that. Like Larry Crone with looked like, I've never seen such a long retractable leash in my life. Unbelievable. But the point is, okay, you want to not use those, okay, because their design, okay, their usage, okay, how they're used is in a way to allow a dog to move forward, okay, in front of you, okay, be able to express control. It's not about, those devices are not about being intentional, okay, with being able to intercept the dog's state of mind in terms of just the length of those, and by pushing that button because the dog's moving out. So again, do not use retractable leashes, okay. You want to just stick to just a normal, I say normal, your typical nylon or leather leash. Thin is good, okay. Less is more, okay. When I say less is more, it just means the thinness. But in terms of length too, okay. Sometimes people will look at my videos and say, well, Dale, maybe I just use a shorter leash because everything is in pretty close proximity when I'm interacting with dogs. And I'll say, well, no, actually, you want to just use your standard like 5-foot leash, because here's the thing, you want to have a little extra length there with that leash, even though it'll be typically rolled up, because you do want to keep it shorter most times. But if you're interacting with a dog that's putting forward like a higher level of challenge, you need enough to keep that away from you, okay. There's a through the leash method, with being able to kind of keep that kind of isolated, so the dog's not on top of you at the same time. So there's a technique there with just letting the dog kind of spin out, but still very close to you. But that a little bit extra leash length sometimes is very helpful, okay, because if you have a short leash, there's no kind of extra leash there to allow you to isolate that way, and then that dog's going to be up on top of you. And so you want your standard 5-foot leash, and just getting used to manipulating it, okay. That's it. So all to say that with leashes, you want, again, getting this whole issue about collars, okay. I'll use just your 2 collars, okay, your standard typical collar, just your straight flat type of a collar. You don't want it to be super thick, okay, a little bit thinner, because that's going to be helpful when it comes to expressing influence through the collar. And then I will use a choke chain like device. It can be, a martingale type of collar, or your average just choke chain. Now, here's the thing about, okay, and this is the thing that I talk through with, imagery, okay, with when people think of certain devices, what do they, how do they line it up? And the problem, okay, when I talk about devices like, say, the choke chain, is people immediately go to the imagery of cranking and yanking on dogs, using that device in a way that is not about, proper alignment in terms of a dog's state of mind, being proactive in a way. So understand that when I talk about a certain device, such as, say, a choke chain, I am, its usage changes, okay? It's not used that way, okay? It's helpful to generate more control, especially, here's the thing, when you're dealing with more powerful, large dogs where people will get pulled down, they end up with broken bones. I've seen it before coming to me. So just common sense, okay? Common sense. You don't want people to get hurt, okay? You need to have a level of intentional control on a big, powerful dog that's going to keep it safe, okay? Understand. So sometimes when I talk about certain devices, their kind of usage is like twofold, okay? To keep it safe so you don't get hurt or injured. Because here's the thing, people come first, okay? That's the thing, is like, people matter, okay? And you get these powerful dogs and pulling people down, that's a no-go. I mean, some of these trainers, they have no common sense at all, and they put dog owners in just bad positions, period. Because of their permissive, bribery-based ideology, people get hurt all the time, and they don't care that way. I care, okay? So you don't want to keep it safe for people. Now, when you get into the issue about, using something like a choke chain, because again, when you get in this thing about, moving people over when the dog starts to see you the right way, sometimes the choke chain can be a little much because people tend to not use it properly anyway. So what I do is I help guide people to, especially inside the house, to use that just the standard collar more so, and then be very intentional with the choke chain to make sure you don't put a stress load on the dog. Okay, there's ways to go about it, understand, because the dog will go into almost like a panic state, especially for the dog owner, where the dog already has a high level of control over that owner. Okay, so there can be a stress issue there when they start to use certain devices. So, but I help with that. Okay, I help to make sure that transition is done in a way that the dog isn't going to be stressed out. Okay, that dog's going to be agreeable. Okay, so there's certain ways to go about that. That's when I get into the impersonal training part. But all to say that you want to use those two collars, okay, and you're switching back and forth depending on where you're at, the environment. If you're outside, typically you want the martingale or the choke chain to have more control, okay, in certain situations. And so in other devices, I talk about this. Pinch collars I stay away from, not because people will look at a device like a pinch collar and how it's designed, and they immediately get all upset, they get all triggered, they say, oh, that device is a torture device. Here's my word of advice: we do not allow your emotions, okay, to interpret certain things. Okay, don't take an emotional position on things. The way you should be looking at devices is, do they align properly? Are they going to let me do what I need to do to intercept the dog's state of mind? Does that device align properly? And the answer to that, through the choke chain, through the pinch collar, is no. Okay, it's the device the dog is going to respond to, not the person. Okay, this is about the person. Okay, being able to communicate through that device to intercept certain moments of where a dog is express states. Okay, so the prong collar, I typically do not recommend it. Okay, now other things such as, the halty, the thing that goes around the dog's face area to control the dog, steer clear of those type of devices. You'll see trainers using those, and here's the thing: is yes, you can get a better physical walk, but it doesn't mean you can have a better relationship. Okay, that goes for the prong collar as well, because you have to have the ability to be able to intercept those moments. Okay, in fact, you want to be dialed in that way, so when those moments are happening with a dog, that level of stinking thinking, that you can engage it. Okay, I mean, if you're not engaging it, that's not good. You need to be able to engage it. And so again, devices, you know, they need to align. But here's the thing: you have any questions about anything, contact me. I have my FaceTime consult available. You know, it can be very helpful to go through all your questions. You can send me video of your dog. You can use it as a way to kind of train if you don't live within, you know, the Florida area. In-person training, of course, is clearly the best way forward, but I've helped many people through the consult. And so again, you have questions, contact me. I have my guides available on my website. I have, you know, my member area with additional, you know, instructional videos, lots of great information. I have courses available for trainers. Check that out as well. But again, have any questions, contact me. I'm more than happy to answer them. Thanks for watching.